Hi, David, Phil here. I just want to do another quick video about the Longman and Broderick 1784 square piano. All of the modern zither pins have been taken out. I had to take them all out by hand with that tuning hammer there. What a painstaking ordeal that was. I'm sure if I lived across the pond like you, I would call them those bloody pins or something. But anyhow, so that's out. Here's the rest plank. Here is the, I don't know what you would call that. I guess the veneer cap. That's what goes on top of the soundboard. Here is the soundboard proper. And as you can see, this area here is where that was glued. And you can tell much different in color. It's a stark contrast to this area here, which would have been visible. You can see how heavily varnished this is. To me, it gives the impression that they did it to make it appear old. Like Pascal Tescan did when he made counterfeit Ruckers harpsichords. If we look underneath, you can see just how horrific the ribbing is, and just this material in general. Someone actually had to write bottom on it. Anyways, yes, this will be discarded. I cannot find any example of ribbing like that, any historic example. But I don't want to waste too much time on the soundboard. I want to talk about the pin block. Or the rest plank, as you would call it with harpsichord language. This appears to be original. You can see the glue marks on it. I don't see why this would have been replaced at any time, unless it was replaced when the restoration was done in Boston in 1814. But if you notice, we have the holes that have been drilled for the modern zither pins, but there are these other holes which appear to have been plugged, and it looks to me as though they've been plugged twice. And so that presents us with the opportunity to either replace the rest plank in its entirety, which I am opposed to because this is original, or plug these holes, re-drill them for appropriate historic tuning pins, and reinstall it accordingly. That would, of course, allow us to get rid of these ugly modern pins. We'd have to remake this piece, which doesn't appear to be original to me. I mean, it might be a replacement of a piece that was original, but those letters were drawn. I'm looking over them closely now, and it looks to me like they're drawn with a modern pen and meant to look old, but it's definitely not India ink. Whatever the case may be, I am opposed to the idea of plugging these holes and cutting the plugs flush and then re-drilling it. And here's why. This is original. This is a 230-odd, 250-odd year old rest plank. It has already been plugged and drilled twice. We have these plugs here, and then we have these here. So this thing's been drilled no fewer than 3 times. To plug it for a 3rd time and drill it for a 4th time, I think, would be detrimental. Even though one could return it to something that would be closer to its original state, you would still be damaging the wood with a drill bit. And so at this point, my attitude is more along the lines of damage control. This thing has been drilled into and had wood shoved into it enough. Let's not aggravate it even further. Again, that's just my opinion. It holds no less or no more weight than the argument that this should be returned to its original state and should be plugged and re-drilled and repinned with historic tuning pins. But, you don't want to over-restore something. At least I don't think you do. Of course, I've never restored a period instrument before, but it's amazing. This is a very solid chunk of wood, and it's in great shape physically. No worms of any kind, which is good, because I'm sure you've heard the horror stories of harpsichords whose pin blocks have been eaten by worms. And that is just amazing to me, that glue is original glue from 1784. So, again, I don't think this should be repinned. I think this should just be left the way it is. We'll mark up the new soundboard and get it installed. But that's just me. So please, I welcome your thoughts and I welcome your disagreement if you do. And yeah, so here we have it. Progress is being made. Thank you so much for your help, David. Talk with you again soon.